Ladies and gentlemen, on this Red Gaming Silicon video, let us discuss a recent interview concerning Crytek and Rise, Son of Rome. So, you may remember when the game was originally released, there was a lot of hoo-ha made regarding not only the resolution but the frame rate. Specifically, the resolution was 900p and the frame rate was 30 FPS, and indeed there was the whole downgrading escapades where basically Crytek said that we're going to improve the quality of the shaders, the lighting, that type of thing, and people were focused just solely on the resolution. And then people on both sides of the fence started to argue because they cited the fact that it was 30 FPS because of the Xbox One's, well, hardware, basically. But recently, Sean Tracy, who is the US Engine Business Development Manager, he's from Crytek, just to clarify, has actually stated that this isn't the case. He said, and I quote, "CryEngine has classically been designed at a 30 FPS target. Keep in mind that running at 16 FPS means you have to fit your whole game render into only 16 ms versus 33 ms for 30 FPS. Just to give you a bit of an idea what that means, practically, is that the render of Crysis 3 alone requires a bit more than 16 ms, which doesn't even include everything that's going on, that's happening in the game. Albeit, you can surely achieve 60 FPS with CryEngine, but I can't say for certainty that you could retain the same amount of scene complexity that games like Rise and Crysis currently have. As we fight to squeeze every last millisecond out of the next generation consoles, we usually don't see a huge value sacrificing 50% of our computational time per frame, at least for the types of high fidelity realistic scenes that we include in our games. We leverage every bit of computational time we can so that we can deliver this directly to the gamer through unrivaled visuals." Now, out of quote, that's a lot of marketing speak, but I'm going to quickly break it down for you guys. I'm just about to leave for work in a minute, but I should have time. So, basically what he's referring to here in terms of MS is the amount of seconds or the amount of time it takes to draw each frame of animation. I'm pretty sure you're probably aware of the basics of how a frame rate works. When you hear 60 FPS, it means basically we're seeing 60 individual still images that have been processed by the graphics card. So what you could do, you could take 1,000, which is ms, 1,000 ms equals a second, and then you can divide that frame rate by the ms, and you'll come up with how long it takes to basically render a particular frame on average. So for example, if you'd have 1,000, you divide it by 30, which would be FPS, then you get up to 33 ms for 30 frames per second. Similarly, if you take 1,000 ms, you divide it by 60, then you've got to render each individual frame by 16 milliseconds. Now, the point being here that with the PlayStation 4, the hardware is only around 40 to 50% more powerful. That basically means that even on the PS4, you just wouldn't have the graphical processing power required to run consistently at 60 FPS. You could probably hit 45, probably 50 at times, but you wouldn't be able to constantly hit, the 60. This is actually noticeable on Crysis 3 on the PC, where if you've got like a very high spec graphics card, you're going to be fine, but otherwise you're going to have to start knocking down the details. In other words, he hasn't said it, but you could basically read between the lines that the next generation consoles just aren't powerful enough to give away the graphics of the quality that they would like. However, you could also add to this that if the consoles were more powerful, let's say they were double the power, so let's say they were kind of closing in on the 3 to 4 T-flop range of computational, for the love of God, I can't speak suddenly, power, then you would probably still see the same situation. You'd probably still see 30 FPS, because all they would do is they would use that power to basically make the games look even better. So in other words, they're saying that for their titles, for their gameplay, they believe 30 FPS is the best of the situation they can muster with the hardware. But personally speaking, I think even if the hardware was 1,000 times more powerful, they'd still probably, at least for now, stick to 30 FPS. So in other words, for the graphics that they're going for, The PS4 and Xbox One only, unfortunately, can deliver it at 30 frames per second. Anyway, hopefully you've enjoyed the video. I'll see you soon. Take care. Bye for now.